Welcome to another Double B's DIY shop video where we try to make the hard look easy. Today we're going to look at a 2014 Buick Enclave and how to do a front and rear brake job. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to assume you already know how to jack up the vehicle, put it on a jack, and take the wheel off. This is your brake caliper. You want to loosen the back caliper bolts, which there's one here and one here. I believe it's a 12 millimeter. It looks like it's a 13 millimeter, so let me get that real quick. Yeah, so it's a 13 millimeter. And you want to go lefty-loosey. Be a little snug, but we'll just loosen that bolt up and take it all the way out. And then loosen this lower one down here, right here on the back side. And there you have it. We've got it backed off. Now we're going to take our brake pads out. Sometimes they're a little bit stuck, but we'll get them out. There it is. And you can see that pad is almost gone. Not much left. Okay, the next thing you want to do is take these clips out. They're just little metal clips. I kind of like the top one looks like that in case they're different, and the bottom one is here, so I like to put them in an orientation where I'll remember which one was the top and which one was the bottom. So I pop that clip out. That's the bottom clip. And I've got the new brakes with the new clips here. Let's see if we can see if there's a difference in any of them. I'm not seeing any difference in them, so I'm just gonna pop them in just like the other ones. There we go. That one. Let's look here at this one. Same sort of deal. So let's just see what we can do here. Okay, the clips are back in. All right. Next thing we need to do is push these caliper pistons back in. And I got a method on how I like to do that. First thing you want to do though is you want to go up to the brake reservoir, fluid reservoir right here. Take that cap loose. I just like kind of let it loose. What we're going to do is push that piston back in. When you do that, it pushes fluid back up and sometimes can come out. If you have that lid open, it won't bust a seal in the braking system. So let's try that. All right, we're going to try to push the two pistons in the caliper back in. What I like to do is I'll take the old brake, set it back in there, and then take my channel locks here, push on the back and towards the center of the brake like this, And just slowly work that piston back in. It may take a little bit, but we're just going to slowly do it. I'm going to go off camera at the moment. We'll be back. All right, we got the caliper pushed in on both pistons here. I've put this brake in. We're going to put the other brake pad in on this side. It's got an indicator here. It's hard to see from behind, but it looks like I got it in. I'll make sure we got the brake pushed in enough. We do. That went back in, so you just slide that back like that and put that. But before we do that, one other tip. I like to put a little bit of grease here. I've checked my slides on my calipers. They've already got grease on them, so I don't need to put grease on them. If for some reason these weren't sliding, these slides were not sliding back and forth here, you would want to re-grease them. But mine are sliding back and forth. They seem to be working well. I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to put a little grease here, so when this piston pushes on this brake and this side pushes, it'll kind of quieten the noise. So let me get that grease and we'll get back on here. So we got some caliper grease. I'll just put a little bit here on these points where they wear. Like I said, you also put this on them pins, but I checked the pins. The grease is good on that. I don't think we need to do anything there. I'll put it here on this back side where this piston rubs. All right, almost done with that. So we got the caliper grease checked here, and we've put some grease on the brake pads. Now we're just gonna put it back together, okay? Just like that, just pushed it forward. We never took this bolt all the way out. We just loosened it and folded it back and it held. We had enough room. Now we're gonna put this bolt in here. Sometimes they can be a booger and sometimes they'll go in like they need to. Get my screwdriver and see if I can line that up where it needs to be. Kind of hold that. Not sure why that won't go on, but give me a second and I think I'll get it. Oh. All right, we got it started. So let me get my ratchet and we'll get back on here. So I got my ratchet. I believe this is a 13 millimeter. I'll set it on righty-tighty. I'm just gonna run them in and tighten them. You want them pretty snug. All right. All right. So that's how you do the front brakes on a 2014 Buick Enclave. Now we're going to show you how to do the rear brake. I'm only going to show one side for each. You should be able to do the other side. It's the exact same process. So let me get the camera repositioned for the rear brakes. All right, onto the rear brakes. This is your brake caliper. Again, you got two bolts, one here, one at the bottom. They're 14 millimeter. I got my 14 millimeter here. Got my ratchet set on lefty loosey. And we're gonna put it on there and see if we can break it loose. Okay, we got it loose. Take the bolt out, lay it over here where you know where it goes. This one, we're gonna try the same. We're gonna try to loosen this one. I'm gonna try to loosen it. Got it loose. I'm not gonna take it off. I'm thinking maybe I can do the same thing as before. I don't know, it looks like it's gonna have to come off because I can't clear the brake. So I'll take it off. Sometimes you gotta hold the sliding pin mechanism to get that bolt out. So I got the second one out. Again, it's off. I like to lay it up here out of the way and make sure the brake line ain't under no pressure. And then we have the brakes here. Just gonna try to see if I can get that brake off. There we go. Got that one off. And look, you can see we're almost at the very end of the brake pad. So it was time to change these. That one goes to the outside, so I'm gonna make sure I know which one that is by placing it towards the outside of the vehicle. Get the other one off. That's not that bad. But when your pad is wore down like that, that ain't good. So it's time to change them. So you'll find on some of these vehicles that they wear uneven, and that can be an issue. And you'll have one uneven brake pad and the other, and you have to go ahead and change them because you can't have one pad just very little, and you'll eventually hit that rotor once the pad wears out. And always check the rotors, make sure there's no grooves. These feel real good, there's no grooves in it. So I'm just gonna go back with the other brakes. We've got these metal clips here. So again, I wanna kind of watch what I'm doing when I take them off and kind of make sure that there's not one that's top, one that's bottom. So this is the bottom one, so I'll put it where I know. And then here's the top. And then we'll look and see in the package which ones we need. Again, I've checked my guide pins here. They've got plenty of grease. They're working good. There's no need to grease those up again. Now, if they feel dry, you'll want to do something there. But again, they're turning good. They're moving back and forth good. I don't hear no abrasive action or nothing, so the grease is still good. Let's open up these new brakes and see what we got here. I got these new pins. It does appear that they're all the same. on these clips. Judging by what I'm seeing here, they do look to be the same. So one came out like that, so we'll put this one in here. Let's see about this one. Goes in here like this. I'll look at these real close. See if I see a big difference. Yeah, they look the same. I'm gonna play around with these clips a little bit. That one's in there. Looks like all right. That one looks like it's okay. Now, make sure we get the right brake in the right place. I'm gonna look at the pad. If you'll remember, this was the right pad here. So we put that in there like that. It's pressed in all the way. Put this other pad. They're all the same pad. So again, we're gonna put this side in. But just be careful. Line up your grooves. All right, there we go, we got it on there. All right, again, I'm gonna put some grease on the outside of the pad here. Just kind of limit the noise. I'm gonna put it right there in the pressure points. Again, and then on this back side, I'm gonna try to put it where that brake rubs on the caliper. Try to limit the noise. I'm gonna wipe my hands off good, come back and show you how to compress that caliper. Okay, I've taken the caliper, kind of laid it up here on top here, and I'm just gonna try to press that caliper in with my channel locks as slow as I can. And you want to be careful not to pinch the rubber seal. Only hit this metal here. Just slowly push that thing in. Like that. Make sure your seal's not pinched. Sometimes you want to roll that seal back. Just make sure it don't get pinched when it's coming back out. And it's making contact first with the pad and not the seal, because you can tear that seal up. So what I'll do is I'll kind of work it back in with my thumbs like I'm doing now. We've got that pushed in, so now we're just going to push this back in like this and put our bolts in. So let me, all right, got that one in. And this little deal is, that little pin's trying to spin, so you gotta hold it with your fingers like that, tighten it. Again, doing the same thing here on the back side. So you'll need a 17mm wrench. You're going to put that right there on the inside there, and take your 14mm and tighten it like that. Same on the bottom. So that concludes doing the rear brake on a 2014 Buick Enclave. Again, I'm not going to show you how to do the other side. It should be the same way. You shouldn't have any problem. You should already know how to put a tire on, take a tire off. There's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So that concludes my video today. I really appreciate if you'd hit that subscribe or like button, and God bless.